It's final season. You got 1,000 exams and presentations to do, and you didn't pay attention this whole semester? Don't worry, I got you. Schools don't really teach you how to actually maximize your time and how to learn efficiently. And this is why I'm here to help you. And honestly, we don't have that much time left, me and you. So let's get started. This is how I got straight A's on a time crunch. I will literally plan everything, and so I would do this. So I would prioritize the assignment or exam, and I would kind of make another section of kind of the deadline that you have to do. I'll show you an example later. But essentially, you're gonna prioritize what is going on and how much time you have left and what are you gonna do each week or even specifically even each day on what you'll do. So like I do it by day because it's easier, and like the more specific you are with your planning, the less stressed you will be. Like sometimes you don't have that much time, but just try your best and kind of stick to that schedule as best you can. Start early if you can, and if you're already at your last straw, it's okay. You just kind of prioritize even more. The closer you are to the deadline, there are some things that you need to prioritize even more and some things you just need to throw away because, it's just not worth it. And what I mean by this is that usually professors or teachers will give you kind of that rubric where it tells you like what topic is kind of more on the test. So they'll give you for test percentages and like what are the main contents on that test that you need to know. And let's say you have a lot of weeks, then you can start planning like what you're going to study first. I would study first by main content first and then slowly get into kind of the lower percentage content. Now, if you're on a time crunch and it's literally tomorrow, throw away kind of the smaller bits, like those are only 5% on the test or only like 6% on the test. I would focus more on like the 25%, the 30, whatever like is split up by. Focus on your main content because that's the fastest way that you're gonna get like kind of that high grade that you want. Now, before you actually even do anything after your planning, start your homework. Now, I know if you've already done the homework, I would still read it over and try doing those problems. I would literally cover your answers and I would look at the question, and if you don't know it, then you can go back into the textbook and read what it's about. Usually the homework gives you what is important and what you need to know, and so if you can just read it over and because usually homeworks give you the main idea of what you need to know from that chapter. So do the homework first and then read the chapter if you don't know it. And why it's so efficient is because most people like to read the chapter first and they like to skim, read all of it. But then if you go back to the homework and you still don't know it, don't you have to go back to the textbook again? See, you're wasting time by doing that. So by actually dialing down on the homework and seeing what you need to know, then reviewing back in the textbook, it's gonna speed up the process even more. Now, after kind of reviewing your homework, this is what I do. So I'm gonna talk about evidence-based techniques that I use. I literally use this from middle school all the way to now in college, and these have gotten me really good grade improvements and A's really efficiently. I actually had an exam that I was notified 24 hours before the exam, and I just did these techniques and I actually got a perfect score of 100, and I never got 100 in that class before, so it was really happy and exciting for me. Not to brag, but I'm just saying that these techniques work, and if you just follow them, you'll see that it works. But I also want to give a disclaimer that try to see what kind of learner you are first. Some people are more visual learners, some people are just more different learners. And you can take quizzes to see and see which techniques are better for you. But honestly, I never did that. But I would assume I'm more kind of a visual learner, but I'm also the type of person that if I spam problems and I actually truly understand the concept, anybody can learn this, So this is what I use, my 3 techniques. I use active recall, mind mapping, and blurting. And these are for more memorization kind of classes and more conceptual classes, which is every subject. But for math and more STEM classes, I would also use that, but also I would just start doing problems, like I said. Actually, what really helped me last year when I had a math class is that I would try doing the homework problems again. And if I got it wrong the second time I did them, I would mark it in red and then I'd do it again. And if I still don't understand it, I would truly try to go back in that chapter and understand that concept. But let me just show you what I do. Active recall is essentially where you read a portion of the presentation or a textbook, whatever your professor gives you, and you make questions for yourself and what you think is important. And then, for example, I do it on Notion, but you can do it on Quizlet or any flashcard. So on one side, you write the question, on the other side, you write the answer and explain the concept. But you would literally quiz yourself. Then after I do that, then I would also do another technique where since I already read the textbook and I kind of made questions for myself, I would do it by chapter. So like first chapter, I would kind of review my notes on it and also kind of my after recall. Then I would just grab a sheet of paper and start blurring everything that I remember from that chapter, and I would create a mind map. So I would literally like start connecting the dots. I would say, oh, this is connected to this concept is connected to this. Because the more strands and connections you create in your brain, the faster you will learn and understand what it really means. So because like when you form connections, you understand from point A to point B to point C. And also with after recall, I'll do the same thing with my homework question. So after recall, if I keep getting my own questions wrong, I would also highlight it in red and I would do it again. I just want to add with blurring that if you forget something, after you're finished blurring down what you remember, that you'll take a different color pen or whatever you want to use and start writing down the information you forgot, and then you do it again the next time after your review so that you'll see how much you remember and how much you understand. So for example, I actually have an example. So this is what I did. You see all these purple highlighters and things that I forgot. I started them, I added some more context. It's a little messy, but it's okay. This is what I did like for each chapter. As you can see, I did the same thing for chapter 6. I forgot a little bit more things, so I drew arrows, and it's just consistency and repetition again. And so this really helps me. But yeah, so this is why I mean like why creating a planner is so like essential to this, because it's like you want to space out the days or space out the times where you recall, you do this and this so that it's efficient. And like this is why like you don't have to study hours on end, but as long as you just, you blur it down so you remember. You don't remember, you just read that chapter again, and you just keep on doing it until you remember everything fully. But this actually doesn't take too long. I think like it just takes about like 2 rounds, I would say, of just mind blurring to really remember everything, or something even just 1. It really depends like how much I understand that concept. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. This is how to stay consistent, and I know it can be hard, but I promise you that it gets better. I get it, it's really stressful for me too, but also like why it's so easy for me to do harder things now, and it doesn't take so much as a push for me to do these things. I actually saw a scientific study where like there's a part of your brain, and obviously your brain likes to do things that are easier and takes less effort, but there's a part of your brain where like if you challenge it constantly to do hard things won't be hard for you, and like you'll be actually willing to enjoy them. Learning is actually such a gift and opportunity for us to do. I know it doesn't seem like it based on like the school system and how stressful it can be, but also like learning is such a gift, and many people still don't receive that learning opportunity that we do. So I try really hard to stay consistent and be very grateful for what I have. And even if it's stressful, it's also a good challenge for myself to constantly keep learning and growing. I would also mention the 2-minute rule. As I mentioned in my previous video, that you set a timer for 2 minutes and you just do the work. And if for some reason like you can't do it, but usually you will, because like you already get into that flow of mindset, it's just like pushing yourself to get there is the hardest part. But if, for example, like it's just too stressful for you and you're stuck and you mentally shut down, I totally understand. Like I've been in that position. What I do is I make it flexible. Like I make the schedule more flexible, I make it easier, because there are some times of the day where you're just drained. You like cannot think anymore, so I would just do a little bit, like 1 or 2 questions, and I call it a day. Or just do 1 chapter and I call it a day. Like sometimes your brain just isn't, braining, and it's okay. So I hope that makes sense. I would also say another aspect is to know your energy levels throughout the day. So for example, if your energy is the highest in the morning, then I would, study in the morning. And if it's the highest, throughout the afternoon, study in the afternoon. But like 1 to 2 hours, like for example, like 1 to 2 o'clock after recall. And then, or like 2 to 2:30, just blurting, you know what I mean? So just doing that, like just spacing it out and creating a good repetition based on the energy levels is also helpful, into not you getting burnt out and just, shutting down. And last of all, your mindset, you got it. Pace yourself, but pace yourself efficiently and maximize your time. I honestly hope this really helps, and I know that sometimes it can be really stressful, and if you get too stressed out in you and you get burnt out, make the task easier for yourself. Make it easier for yourself. You're helping yourself, and you should be wanting to make it easier. And at the end of the day, you should feel really proud of yourself. There's only a couple more weeks of school left and you're finished, and there's the summer and you get to relax a little bit. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I hope this really helps people that are in final season or have exams in general. These are kind of the way that I plan out my exams. So yeah, thank you for watching and thank you for all your support. Let me know what you want to see next. And yeah, thank you. Love you guys.